Welcome back to the channel, guys. In today's video we're going to be putting head to head the Lab DF3 versus the Lab OZ putter. I've got two putters in identical specs, 34-inch TPT shafts, 70 lie, and I can't wait for this video because I custom built myself my first ever Lab putter and I went for the DF3. And in hindsight, I made a few mistakes. I posted that video to help anybody that might be ordering their first custom built Lab putter, because I always like to share the mistakes I've made to help you, make more calculated decisions on your purchases. And, let's face it, it were an expensive mistake to make. But before we order another Lab putter, because I'm going to be honest, I love the technology of zero torque. I think Lab are leading the way with that technology. And now I've actually had a Lab putter, I'm struggling to know where else to go apart from Lab, because I think if you've tried a Lab putter, you probably feel the same way, It's hard to compare, against Lab in terms of quality of build, the engineering, and most of all, how a Lab putter feels, once you sort of get used to the technology. So we're going to test it against the OZ.1 because there were 1 point out of the 4 mistakes that I made from my first putter, and it were mainly due to feeling as though my DF3 putter, and I know a lot of people say this in the forums, is that it's not the quickest off the face. It's quite a soft feeling putter. So if you play on slower greens, sometimes you feel like you're having to sort of take a bit longer stroke than normal or accelerate more than normal. And if you're anything like me, that can sometimes make you feel as though you can't focus on your stroke as much. You're focusing more on getting the ball to the hole. So, and that's where I think without testing, that's why I'm looking forward to testing the OZ, because I think from people who've tried them, they have said that this is a little bit quicker off the face with a new sort of insert that they've got in. So we're going to test it and see how it feels. So we're going to put these putters through a few tests in. The first one is going to be distance control. So we're going to hit 3 putts with a DF3 and mark what length backstroke we're using to get to the hole, and then we're going to match that backstroke and acceleration with the OZ to see if there's any difference in sort of distance and whether it is coming off the face a little bit hotter with the OZ. So let's just try to get these sort of dead weight if we can. And then we'll mark sort of like what length of backstroke we're using. I'm not lining these up or anything at the minute, I'm just focusing more on sort of distance control. And just keeping an eye on that backstroke, because for this sort of length putt, I would say it's a little bit more of an excessive stroke than I'm used to with my old gamer, and I feel as though sometimes I can't focus as much on just letting the putter go. I'm focusing more on just getting the ball to the hole. Right, so I've got an idea now, length of stroke. Yeah, so the club face just to the back of the tee. Right. I'm going to put that same length of stroke on with the OZ, and this is the first time I will have ever stroked this putter. So I'm not going to try to sort of think about the hole too much. I'm just going to try to think about putting the same length of stroke on it to see if there's any difference in sort of speed off the face, or distance it comes. Oh, that's noticeable. That is definitely noticeable straight away. I've not tried to hit that any order. I've just gone back, club face to tee. So I was trying to get that club face to the back of the top of the tee. No acceleration, just letting the putter do the work. And that is definitely rolling out further. In fact, in terms of feel, I'll just do one more. That's a really nice, quick, responsive feel, that. I'm not trying to wall them, don't worry. So before moving on, I just want to hit a few putts with the OZ just to see what length of stroke I do actually need and what it feels like to get this longer putt sort of dead weight. See if it matches the stroke that I would have normally used with my sort of old gamer. That's definitely a bit hotter. I'm going to put that quieter stroke on the DF3 in a minute. Obviously I'm not lining any of these up, I'm just sort of working more on feel. See what happens when I put that same stroke on the DF3. Yeah, it's a lot quieter and dampened. So I think it's safe to say that the new OZ face is definitely a little bit sort of hotter than the DF3. So quite bizarrely, when I was first looking at a lab putter and I was looking at the designs, the Link 1 was the one that I was attracted to the most, because I think it's fair to say it's the one that's closest to the market looking putter. And I know Lab have gone down the route of trying to make their mallet look a little bit more like the market looking putter, you know, to attract the everyday golfer's eye, should we say. But quite bizarrely, I've actually fell in love with the DF3, and I've got to admit, out of all the putters that they offered at the time, this was the one that I probably least liked the look of. Well, I say least, it was probably the 2.1 that I would have least liked the look of. So I went for the DF3. I was pushed into it really by my mate James, who said, like, if you're going to buy into lab technology, at least go for the mallet version, because that'll be their sort of most forgiving option. So I did go down this route, and quite thankfully, I have fell in love with this one. So we're going to test them both head to head on shorter putts now, see how comfortable I am aligning them, because there is one thing that I can say about the DF3 is that I'm very comfortable lining it up, and once I've got that line, I'm very confident that I'm going to hole it, so I don't have any sort of negativeness about feeling like I'm going to pull it or push it. And that's been one of the big reasons why that I probably aren't going to deviate from lab, because I'm just so happy. I know once I'm lined up that I'm good to go. Right, so I've set up a 6-foot putt where I'm going to line up to these to see which one I am most comfortable on the short putts lining up. Because as I said, I've got really comfortable with the DF3 head now. And, you know, one of the things that I don't want to sacrifice is, you know, my confidence of lining the putt up and being able to just let the putter go, trusting that everything's sort of lined up nicely. So we're going to compare these sort of head to head. It breaks just a little off the right. I'm so confident, I don't pull or push a putt anymore. I can literally just let the putter do its work. So when the OZ came out, my mate says, well, why don't you just order the OZ? Because, you know, everyone's saying it's a little bit faster off the face, it'll travel a little bit further, you don't need to hit it as hard. But I was like, no, the most important thing here is that I'm as comfortable lining up with the putts and feeling like once I'm square, I can just let the putter do its work. And that's what I'm looking forward to. This is a test that I'm really looking forward to, because if I can feel as comfortable with the OZ, then there's no doubt which road I'm going around, because I definitely do feel that that face is a little bit hotter and is going to be perfect for us out here in the UK when we're playing like slightly slower greens. Sorry, I'm just aimed up a bit right here, and since lining up as well, so just using the line on the ball and then getting the putter alignment and squaring up to it, I have started to a lot more putts, because even now I'm stood here thinking that ball is not lined up, or the line's not lined up to where it should be, but it is. It's just that my eye line, or my eye, must see it slightly differently. So if I commit to the line and the alignment, I seem to get quite a good roll. Oh, overhit that one a little bit. Right, the moment of truth. Can I feel as comfortable with the OZ? Are we going to be going down the OZ route, or are we going to be reordering DF3 in that slightly more calculated spec? Now I've actually tried one, which if you want to see that video and the mistakes I made in my first one, I'll tag it in the description below. This is definitely not as odd looking, is it? It's a bit more like just a typical sort of looking putter, but obviously it's got lab technology. It certainly feels nice off the face. I'm not saying that the DF3 doesn't, I mean, but it just feels a bit more ready to go. I feel like I can let the putter do a bit more of the work. I haven't got to sort of use my engine. I'm letting the head just fall onto it and deliver for us. it's weird because although I feel like it comes off really nice and really comfortable, I've got used to that DF3 now, and this looks quite a small head compared to DF3. There probably isn't any more mass, and you'll be able to probably check on the website, but I think because the mass is like proportion more in a smaller compact head, it is just a feeling that I'm getting that there's kind of more mass there, but and this one's obviously proportioned a bit differently. I've not checked that at all, but this does feel as though it's almost a little bit heavier at the bottom. I'll check that and put that up on screen. I'll check the weight and the heads. In fact, it could be heavier, couldn't it? Because obviously it's got the sort of insert face, which may be why it's easier to get to the hole. I'll check that. So after that comparison, I think it's safe to say the OZ.1i insert is definitely a little bit hotter off the face. If you play on slower greens, this is one where you won't have to think about accelerating too much. You can really let the putter do the work. I think in terms of looks, it's always going to come down to personal preference. I think most people are going to be attracted to the new OZ because it's a new one on the market. It does look a little bit more like what you've probably seen before in terms of mallets. But I'll tell you what, I mean, I'm biased, but I've been using this DF3 and I really am getting used to the look of it. And I think it is still my preference, to be fair, so I'm not kind of sure which route I'm going to go down. But one thing I would say, and we've not checked weights of these putters, is that I think this feels like there's more mass just because it's a smaller compact head. I think if you try both these putters side by side, you'll agree. There might not be a difference in mass, but I think with this one being proportioned a little bit on a bigger scale, it certainly feels to me that it's a little bit lighter. And I'm not sure if I'm correct on that yet, but I'll put that up on screen. So yeah, all in all, I think the OZ.1 is definitely going to give us a new sort of alternative to DF3, and more in terms of weight and obviously in terms of look as well. So definitely not one to overlook. It's definitely going to be one that I'm going to consider before I make my conclusions. But yeah, fantastic new putter to obviously Lab's range, and exciting times. So guys, if you're not already subscribed, make sure you hit the subscribe button. We've got plenty more Lab putter videos coming. We're going to put in some of these putters head to head with some of the other zero toe putters, Langle balance putters. You see that I'm smirking, and you might know why. But yeah, I'll see you in a few days' time. Bye.